So I'm going to switch to the side view here and make sure the snap to grid option is off. And from the previous video or the previous task, make sure that retain component spacing is reactivated, or just click reset tool again. Alright, so now with my object still selected, or if you haven't selected it, make sure your object is selected. Now I'm going to switch to vertex, and we're just going to move and modify some of our pieces here. So click drag to select, make sure my move tool is activated, and then move these items into place. A good deal of the time when you're using your image plane as a guide or reference, you're going to want to be able to freely adjust and move these items. See, I just click drag to select this entire cluster of vertices and moving them into place. See, I'm just selecting them in groups or in clusters, so that way I can adjust and modify them. There we go. Do the same with the setup here. And that's looking good. And let's see. They're going to want to extend this bottom portion here, so I'm going to right click, go to vertex, and we're going to select this bottom row. And then continue to adjust these. So this is what modeling comes down to, is being able to select these individual components and move them into place, fine-tune them. That's why it's important to have a good image setup so that you can work accurately from the front and side views. Now it's a little bunched up here. I'm going to have to make this visor here, or this top portion of the helmet, curve or rotate with the edge there, but I need to move and make some room for it, so I'm going to have to select these pieces here, move them slightly out of the way. Now you never want to overlap your objects here. You want to give enough room between each piece, so never overlap your pieces or overlap your geometry. You're going to wind up with a mess. And it's always good to keep the flow of your polygon shapes in a pretty consistent line like that, as you can see. It's a good habit to get used to. It'll make it easier to do other things later on, like texture your model or add extra details. You always want the geometry to flow in a pattern like this. Kind of trying to keep the cubes as consistent as possible. Okay, now I just have to select this row and go to switch vertex, click drag to select this set here, line it up, and I'm going to use the rotating tool here and rotate it. Try and get the angle right, then move it into place. Select some of these components individually and just nudge them a little bit. So that looks good from the side, but you'll need to make sure to double check from all views. As you can see here, what looked good from the side doesn't quite match up from the front. See my geometry kind of poking out there, so I'm going to click drag from this segment on down, so that way I've selected this portion of my helmet and then just move it in a little bit like that. It's just something you'll have to get used to, making sure that you view your geometry or your model from all of its different sides and get used to nudging and modifying these pieces here. So I'll line that up there. Takes some getting used to, like anything else. Just make sure it looks good from the perspective view. Check the front view, check the side view, check the perspective view. I'm gonna do a bit more modifying before we add some extra polygons to make the face or the front visor. We'll do that in the next video.